If you reached out to me today, brand new to YouTube, with 0 subscribers, 0 views, I wouldn't tell you to study SEO or buy a bunch of fancy equipment. I would be giving you this very simple framework that has helped thousands of women hit monetization on YouTube, some in their first month. By the end of watching this video, you will have 30 video topics that you can use to start your YouTube channel or to grow the one that you have now. It is not complicated. It's not confusing. It doesn't take a million steps. It is just a proven formula that actually works. I'm Erika Vieira, and for 8 years, I produced YouTube channels and helped almost 2,000 women grow on this platform, YouTube. And here is what I know and what I've learned from the thousands of hours I've spent doing this. Half the battle isn't thumbnails or titles or editing. It is knowing what topic to film. All right, ladies, let's do this. Class is in session. I want to address what you might be thinking in the back of your mind. You wanted to start a YouTube channel forever. You see a lot of other people doing it, a lot of other people doing well at it, and you're kicking yourself for not starting on YouTube sooner. And you're like, is it too late? It's just done. I think the ship has sailed. No, it hasn't. Every day, I work with women just like you who dream of a successful YouTube channel, and we make that dream a reality. I'm gonna give you a couple examples just to get you motivated and excited. We have Adriana Patricia, who's a pediatric occupational therapist who had launched her YouTube channel. And in less than a month after launching her YouTube channel, she was monetized with over 1,000 subscribers. And a few months after that, she was at almost 5,000 YouTube subscribers. Now we have Madeline Mann, who's an HR professional who now has 355,000 subscribers and a channel generating 7 figures in yearly income. And we have Katie Ferraro, who is a dietitian who makes more money from her small YouTube channel with, I think, 40,000 subscribers than her 500,000 Instagram following and top podcasts. And now we have Kiva Brent. She's an interior designer who ditched medical school. Her YouTube channel, as a last-ditch effort to figure out something else to do other than medical school, took off for her. And she now makes 10 times more than she would have as a doctor without all that student debt. All these women I'm talking about were exactly where you are right now. Confused, overwhelmed, not sure how to get started on YouTube, not sure how to make YouTube work for them until they learn some of the simple strategies, one of which I am going to teach you today. Here's a trap that a lot of women fall into, and this might be you. You consume tons and tons of YouTube advice, podcasts, tutorials, thinking that more knowledge and learning more and more about YouTube equals you being successful on the platform. But here's the issue. You're hearing a whole bunch of different pieces of advice, and all of that conflicting information will actually paralyzes you. And then it actually holds you back from getting started because you don't want to do it the wrong way, but there's so many different ideas, there's so many different ways to do it that you just don't know how to do it. That's probably where 60 to 70% of the women in my YouTube bootcamp, that has happened to them. The problem isn't a lack of information. The problem is that you really don't know what to do. And that's what we're gonna do today. So what is this framework? I call it the YouTube bird call formula. So I know it sounds weird. You're like, well, what do birds have to do with YouTube? All right, I'm gonna go over it. I want you to think of YouTube as a big forest with all kinds of different birds. Each bird has their own little chirp, own little sound. And I want you to picture yourself as someone trying to get the attention of a particular bird in that forest. That's your YouTube audience. Every single video you post is like your own bird call. It's designed to catch the attention of your bird. The birds all out there is like everybody out there watching YouTube, but you only want a certain bird. So each of those videos is a bird call to that bird. Just like every bird responds to a certain call, your videos need to target your unique audience. And what works for a robin won't work for an eagle. Your videos should be positioned in a way that calls your birds from the forest. And making a good bird call is not that easy. It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of knowledge, it takes know-how, and it takes some intuition. It's about figuring out what really grabs your audience and tweaking your approach based off of what you learn, and then also based off of your intuition. And here's the key, that the timing and the location matter. So now before we dive into the formula itself, I want to address 3 brake pedal items first. And now brake pedal item is something that you're doing right now that's keeping you stuck. It's just like in a car. If you push on the gas to go forward, but you still have your foot on the brake, you're not going to go anywhere. Number 1, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but you're trying to learn YouTube through watching a bunch of YouTube advice videos, getting advice from different people, going onto Reddit, going into Facebook groups, or going and listening to podcasts. I know this sounds ironic coming from me, somebody who makes YouTube videos on YouTube about growing on YouTube, but I want you to hear me out. While YouTube experts, they're amazing people. They're very smart. They're well-meaning. What can happen is that watching too many advice videos can actually complicate YouTube and make it a lot harder than it needs to be, especially for beginners. I want you to really think about kind of this whole landscape. It's the job of YouTube creators to create more content and keep people coming back. Everyone who has a successful channel, they're incentivized to come up with new, different, and unique ways of teaching, and basically teaching a lot of the same things. And they're creating for the algorithm. Yes, they're creating for the viewer, but ultimately they're leaning into the things that are getting the clicks. This can be overwhelming and confusing for someone who just wants a simple how-to and roadmap. Advanced strategies are really great. Hearing different perspectives are really great, but there is a time and a place for that. I'm more concerned about you just getting started and just seeing some results. I want you to imagine that building a successful YouTube channel is like climbing a really tall mountain. You don't need to study everything about mountain climbing before you start. The bird call formula I'm going to give you is like giving you the equipment, map, and guide to reach that first base camp, which, that's your first 1,000 subscribers. And the bottom line is that more information isn't necessarily your friend. Simple, strategic action is. The second brake pedal is, and I see this happen a lot, thinking that you need to be completely unique and different to be really successful on YouTube. This is a major trap that I see. You're worried that what you want to talk about has already been done before. But think about it like this. See, I'm all about kind of helping you think about things differently, like reframing the way that you're thinking things so that you don't get in your own way of YouTube success. So if being unique is really what you need to be successful, then how are thousands of YouTube creators growing new YouTube channels every single day and doing things that have already been done before? We're talking about like hauls, favorites, what I eat in a day, vlogs, reviews, how-to videos, unboxings, reactions. Like none of these things are original. There's over I don't know at this point, 38, 40 something million active YouTube channels right now. Tons of people are recycling themes and messages that haven't been done before. Yet they're still getting views and growing hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And it's so funny. Just the other day, I was scrolling on YouTube, which I do as a YouTube strategist, producer. I literally scroll YouTube every day. I don't scroll Instagram. I don't scroll anything else. I scroll YouTube, looking at the thumbnails and titles. And then I saw these two videos that literally had the exact same thumbnail and the exact same title. We're talking like the difference between the thumbnails. I had one person versus a different person. And when I clicked on one of the videos, I saw that the person gave the original person credit for that video, like, oh, thanks for the inspo. But it was like the same title and thumbnail. And the reason why this works is because it hasn't been done by you, right? So that second video, even though it has the same title and thumbnail, it was a little different because that second person has their own unique perspective, viewpoints, experiences, history. The secret really is authenticity and leaning into that. You don't have to be super creative or reinvent the wheel. You're already unique because you are you and nobody else is you. For example, there's a million videos out there about video topics or about all these different YouTube things, but they're not coming from me, somebody who's worked with over 2,000 women YouTube channels, who's been doing this for 10 years as a channel producer. I'm a channel producer first. Content creation is kind of a side thing for me. Other people have different perspectives and they're all valid. They're all good. It just depends on what you as a viewer connects with. The third issue is thinking that you need to understand SEO and the algorithm in order to grow on YouTube. And I totally understand why you want to crack that code, why you think that you need that. And logically, it totally makes sense. But here's the thing, again, I want you to think about things a little bit differently. If the secret sauce to YouTube success was knowing the algorithm, then everybody who has a big YouTube channel would have this like totally ninja, like deep understanding of the algorithm and spending hours upon hours doing SEO and keyword research. I can tell you that is so not the case. I've interviewed over 400 female YouTube creators on my podcast, each of them usually more than 100,000 subscribers, some with like hundreds of thousands, some with millions. Not one person has said they cracked the YouTube algorithm code, that they get it. Most of them say like, I don't understand the algorithm. I just realized I just need to be myself and connect with my audience. That's it. That's what they do. That's what successful creators do. They forget about the algorithm. They create content they know the audience will like. Now we're going to get into the actual formula of the YouTube bird call formula. And this is pulled from phase 2 of my YouTube bootcamp. So I do teach this to my students, but this is so valuable that I want you to know about this. And so going into this strategy, strategy, I'm assuming that you have a general idea of what your channel is about and who you're serving. And if not, that's totally okay. Just work with what you have. If that is something that you struggle with, I did do a whole video on your YouTube niche, so you're going to want to check out that video. So here's what you're going to do. I want you to put a pen to paper. You could do it on a computer if you like, but I always find that pen to paper I feel like there's a better brain and intuition connection, but do however that you want it. And I want you to create 3 different sections. Okay, now the first section, label it questions. And now these are going to be 10 questions that people ask you about the topic of your channel, right? Your channel niche. So when you think about your channel niche, your topic, what are the most asked questions that you get from people in real life? Whether it's your job, your family, your friends, your clients, your students, what are questions that come up again and again and again? Now, I want you to write those down. Don't dismiss any question, even if it seems beginner or basic. Sometimes the beginner and basic videos are actually some of the most evergreen and searched for and viewed videos. Now, the next section, I want you to write mistakes. And then you're going to number it 1 through 10. And these are going to be the 10 most common mistakes that people make in your niche. As an expert in your field or somebody who's passionate about your topic, I'm assuming whatever you're talking about on your YouTube channel, you're passionate about it. You're an expert at it. You have some knowledge of it. When you think about that topic, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making again and again and again? And here is the key that I want you to think about as well. I want you to list them in order of least to most obvious mistakes. In my experience, the least obvious mistakes tend to perform really, really well on YouTube. They're the mistakes that people are like, oh, I've been doing that. I had no idea. Versus like the mistakes are like, oh yeah, I know that's a mistake. The more knowledgeable and experienced you are about the topic, the easier it is to discover those less obvious mistakes. So I want you to think about, are these obvious mistakes or not obvious mistakes? Try and put like the 10 least obvious mistakes that you can. And like I said, like rank them of like least obvious to most obvious. Next up are the misconceptions. Now, a misconception is something that people believe to be true when it's actually not. So what are the biggest misconceptions that people get wrong time and time again as it relates to your niche? Like, for example, for YouTube, one of the things, and I shared it with you in this video, is people think that they need to know the algorithm in order to be successful on YouTube. People think that they need to study SEO to be successful on YouTube. That is so not true. So that's an example of a misconception. So again, I want you to list them in the order of least to most obvious. The least obvious misconceptions tend to be gold on YouTube. Now, what does that add up to? 30. That gives you 30 video topics. So I'm going to give you another example of that as well, because I feel like this category is one that people kind of maybe have a little bit of challenge with. So I mentioned Adriana Patricia, who's a pediatric occupational therapist. These are some of the video topics that we came up together for misconceptions. So one was that the baby walkers, like, you know, those baby walker things, that they help your baby walk. She's like, they don't. One other misconception is that you should pull your baby's hand from its mouth. You should never do that. And now, for example, some of the mistakes were baby wearing mistakes, baby bottle feeding mistakes, and then questions. These are some of the questions that she gets asked as a pediatric occupational therapist. What are the best toys for babies 6 to 9 months old? What are the best baby bottles? What do you do if your baby isn't rolling over by 5 months? So I want you to keep in mind, these aren't video titles, they're just topics. So we're just doing topics in this whole exercise. These aren't the titles yet. When working with Adriana, I asked her to think about the people that she works with and treats in her practice day in and day out. And that is the best place to start, real life. And I want you to do the same thing. Pull from your own real life experience. I find that those are some of the best performing videos on YouTube. And with Adriana, I'll show here on the screen, they did, and they got her a lot of views when we use this approach. So the reason why this strategy is so powerful is because, first of all, the video topics are being pulled from your own extensive knowledge or passion you have about your channel niche. You are the most insightful resource when it comes to understanding what your audience wants from you. Taking that inspiration from your real life and from your own experiences is so invaluable for identifying the topics that have that potential to perform well on YouTube. And this approach does help you discover what your audience is curious about and expands beyond what's already being taught on YouTube. This is a way that you can distinguish yourself from everybody else, because you're not pulling from what everybody else is doing on YouTube. You're pulling from real life. But there might be some topic overlap with content that's already out there. Maybe there are questions that everybody already asked or everybody already talked about on YouTube. That's fine. Remember I talked about brake pedal number 2. That's why I talked about it. This opens the door to introducing fresh perspectives rooted in your own life experiences. So maybe the question's the same or the mistake is the same and everybody knows, oh, you're not supposed to use a baby walker to have a baby walk. I don't know if that's common knowledge. But in Adriana's experience, but as a pediatric occupational therapist and seeing patients day in and day out and knowing what can happen if you do that or the issues that result from that, only she can bring that. The next thing I want to mention too is that you can expand this even further. So you can combine multiple mistakes, multiple misconceptions or questions into one video. For example, like the top 5 mistakes new moms make when feeding their baby for the first time. The top 5 questions you might get about growing a Etsy account, right? So you can combine these different things to make even more videos. You can also explore each point in individual videos. So Adriana did this with her video, the 6 shocking new mom mistakes that could delay newborn development. And it became one of her highest viewed videos with almost 300, I think at this point, probably over 300,000 views. And at that time, when she uploaded it, she had less than 100 subscribers when she uploaded it. So now the third thing you want to remember is don't worry about repeating yourself. Repetition is not just acceptable on YouTube, it's actually recommended. Successful YouTubers, if you've noticed this, now that I mentioned it, you'll probably see it when you watch YouTube. You'll be like, oh yeah. Successful YouTubers tend to cover the same topics again and again and again, but they package it different. They're switching up their thumbnails and titles and they're having a different angle, but it's really the same idea. So for example, I had a client for a very long time, Dr. Amir Karam, and we basically had so many different ways of saying the same thing. He has 2 major philosophies. One is that skincare is extremely important for aging and for anti-aging your skin. And second, nothing is better than a facelift for lifting your face. So that was his 2 philosophies. And that basically was a conclusion of every single video on his channel. But it was presented in so many different ways. And all of those videos continue getting views. And we didn't get complaints about, oh, you're saying the same thing in every video. Obviously, there's more information added. There's like different angles, but the philosophy is the same. Number 4, the bird call formula provides an excellent foundation for a YouTube channel launch because every single video is built around a very well-defined objective. So it's not just about creating content. It's creating content with a very purpose objective. Because we're rooting this in your own experiences and the viewer psychology, each video has a purpose. So there you have it. There is the YouTube Burkhardt formula. 10 questions, 10 misconceptions, 10 mistakes equals 30 videos and your first or next 1,000 subscribers. No complicated SEO, no fancy equipment, not spending dozens and dozens of hours editing, just a simple strategic framework that works and has been tested time and time again. If you've reached this point and you're super, super excited about launching a YouTube channel with real plans and motions, I'm so, so happy for you. I'd love it if you could drop me a comment below. Let me know what your channel's about, why you want to be on YouTube. I'm super excited to connect with you and learn a little bit more about your YouTube journey. Now, if you want even more help from me, I have 2 main resources for you. I have a free live class that's coming up where I'm going to be diving deep into my 4-step strategy called my YouTube brand blueprint that I've helped over 2,000 women achieve success on YouTube. Or if you're looking for my help directly in a community of like-minded women creators, check out my YouTube bootcamp and the application for that is below. Up next, make sure you watch this video on finding your YouTube niche. Until next time, keep shining, keep creating, and most importantly, keep being you. And if you made it all the way to the end, make sure you subscribe. Mwah.